Thanks for that, Amy. First, though, women don't want top jobs. Rosie wrote this article, extraordinary piece, on just this subject a couple of months ago. And the headline was, as a feminist, I used to think it was men keeping women from top jobs. I was wrong. Most of us simply don't want that kind of success. And my jaw sort of hit the floor when I read that. The article was inspired by a book called The Sexual Paradox, the thrust of which, if I'm right, is that you women would gain more satisfaction from following a life sort of dictated by your hormones and having a family than you will trying to live your life as if you were a man just focused on work and earning money. Rosie, feminist icon, co-founder of Spare Rib in '72. But after reading that article, it seems everything you used to believe has been kind of turned on its head. And I'll go on, let me go on a little more. New research in this book suggests that women are born programmed to want a family more than a career. All of this is determined in the womb. Boy babies exposed to the hormone testosterone makes them more competitive, vengeful, daring. Girl babies receive more estrogen, making them better at reading emotions. And then there's prolactin and oxytocin, the feel-good hormones that come during pregnancy, breastfeeding and mothering. And it's these hormones that kind of decide our fate. You can't override them.
Well, some of that's true, and some of that's a fantastic oversimplification. Right. I mean, I've always fought for the right for women to work, and I will always go on doing it. I think that as a government, you know, we've got things badly wrong. We've never paid properly for childcare. We've never made childcare as a thing that is shared between men and women. So the pressure has always been on women. So one of the really important things to remember before one goes into talking about what the hormonal things is that, I mean, what you're looking at now and why the debate is hot now is to do with, you know, the rights to maternity leave. And a woman in this country can, you know, from the autumn can get a whole year's worth at 90%, whereas a man can only get 2 weeks. You change that over and look at, say, Sweden, where it is 50-50. And interestingly, I mean, coming back to your lady from Relate, I mean, they are finding that when men take the right, I mean, a proper amount of time off to be with their kids, the divorce rates have gone down 40% of those couples who really share the childcare, because the men get to understand what childcare is all about. It's not that women... I mean, it's very easy to say that, you know, this is one of the reasons is that women aren't brighter. If you looked at the world in terms of exams, A-levels, and then universities, women are beating men all the way through. By a mile. And that you would then look at it and you'd say, OK, why aren't women running the world? Yeah. Because actually they're smarter. And but it does seem that there is... No,
I mean, the results speak for themselves.
The evidence is absolutely clear that now, right across the board, right across all Western developed countries where men and women are getting equal opportunities to education, women are winning, winning straight through. But what does seem to happen is that in terms of when you come to the actual quality of your life, that fewer women want to say, OK, what I want to do is go to work and leave the house at 6 in the morning and get back home at 8 o'clock at night, work for one company the whole bloody time, sacrifice my life to a boss that I may not even know, to a job that I don't like. And I mean, actually, if you look at, you know, general levels of job satisfaction among people in this country, they're not that high. I mean, they work for money, but they're prepared to do that kind of focus. Women, it seems to me, are a lot smarter, and that they're saying, actually, this isn't necessarily how I want to do it. I want to be able to work. I want to be able to spend some time with my kids. I want to be able to spend some time with my friends. I want a bit more of a mixed-up life. One of the problems, of course, that women are facing now, and in why somehow this debate has become polarised, and certainly me as someone who is a kind of old feminist as such, you know, being stuck against the wall and saying, oh, what you're saying is you don't want women to work. Quite the contrary. What I always said was what I wanted, and what we always wanted, was a kind of liberation, which was a choice, a question of do we choose to do this or do we choose to do that? And one of the things that's gone so badly wrong in our society is that all we value is money and material goods, and that the only people we think are successful are bloody hedge fund managers. I mean, actually, they're not so successful at the moment because they're all going broke. Yeah. But, I mean, you know, on the whole, it's the people...
But we judge everyone by money. How much?
We judge them by money, and therefore, if you do something else, you're judged as a kind of failure. You're judged as though in some way, you know, you couldn't hack it. You couldn't hack it in the workplace. And that's not true at all. Actually, it's about making choices. There are lots of women who would and who do want to do that kind of job that is focused entirely on that. There are, I believe, a lot of men who, as you see now in Scandinavia, who would like to spend a lot more time with their kids. And you see it a bit happening with younger men now. But you have to go back also, coming back to what you were talking about and what Susan Pinker, and she did a huge amount of research, really had looked at in the womb, is the sense that there are different kind of hormones. And I can remember in the 70s, you know, when I had friends, I didn't have any kids then, And so, you know, we were very naive when we started Spare Rib. I thought, you know, it'd all be simple and the government was going to take care of all our childcare problems. Oh, what a load of rubbish that was. But, you know, I can remember that, you know, having girlfriends and they had girls, and they'd give their girls toy trains to play with, and they'd have boys, and they'd give the boys kind of dolls to play with. And, you know, it didn't matter what you did. The boys wanted the trains, and the girls wanted the dolls.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
And it's just true, that. And I mean,
Having said that, I've got a 15-month-old little girl. I hand her $1 a car, and she plays with the car.
OK, well, I think there are exceptions to every rule, but on the whole, there does seem to be that there is a sort of a kind of streamlining that takes you, and in a way, is it so weird? Women are the people who are lucky enough to, you know, to give birth, to have the miracle of giving birth, and I think that makes us, you know, as a sex, extremely superior.
Do you go along with that?
Well, you know, I'm kind of living the thing that Rosie's talking about. You know, I'm trying to work and have children, and I didn't want to make the choice. In the end, I wanted to be able to try and have both, and it's incredibly stressful. But I take issue with this idea that men are programmed to be far more competitive. Of all the men I've ever been with, married or otherwise, not one of them has been as competitive as me. You know me well enough to know that. You know, so excuse me, but I think I could trample most men underfoot.
Listen,
so that's not to do with what happens in the film.
Editing 3 bloody newspapers, so you can't say that I was lacking in ambition. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, one size does not fit all.
No.
In any way.
Can I just continue? The point I wanted to make was that when I talk to other women like me who have got children and trying to work, the point comes when you have your second child, and what physically do you do if you've got a partner who's working as well? One of you has to cut back because you've got somebody's got to be there to pick the kids up from school. Because
but why is it the woman?
Because in the end, it isn't always a woman.
No, it's 1 in 10 now. It's men, house husbands.
And then I talk to women who've made that choice. And often they're quite unhappy with that choice, because often I talk to them and they say, well, I used to have this really fantastic, exciting job, and now I've had to take the job where I don't travel. I've had to take the job where I can finish at a certain hour. And they end up doing the same job, but a less exciting version of that job, because somebody's got to do it, because they still need the money, but they've got the children. But most of us see having children is a period in your life. It's 15 years or whatever, when you actually have to be quite focused on them. But then there is life after that.
But, Laurie, don't you think that the government's giving out a pretty strong signal here by saying that women are allowed 52 weeks of maternity leave?
Well, I'm freelance. I've never had a penny in maternity leave. And lots of women don't get that.
No, but at the moment, what is coming through with the legislation now is a state message, which is that women are the carers. And I mean, that really upsets me. And, you know, it seems to me this is absolutely against all we have fought for. I mean, I do not see all these things as contradictory. I see them as all part of a greater knowledge leading towards a kind of a better and more equal society. But I am really, you know, my sister married a Dane in 1969. She went on to have 5 kids. She went back to work. The childcare in Denmark is absolutely standard for everybody. It's very equal, which is another thing that's very interesting, because you see, I mean, you must see, and I've worked in offices, you see the difference between the person who's got the nanny, who's not under the same kind of stress, and the person who's looking at the clock and they're going, oh my God, I've got to get out of here in 5 minutes to pick the girl up.
I have to tell you, we have to take calls, and quite frankly, Biggins, I don't think anyone's interested in what we have to say about it. We don't know what we're talking about. So let's throw it open to you at home.
I'm very interested in what he's got to say.
Well, so am I, really.
Thank you, Rosie.
So am I.
I would just like to say quickly that I have a lot of girlfriends who have children and also have fantastic jobs. Like, we were with one last night who's the head of a huge company, and she has brought up her daughter and done it. And I think people are capable of doing those things.
But it's capable.
Yeah, but hard.
But it's bloody hard.
It is hard. It is hard.
One thing, all the women I know, we all work split shifts. You work till 3, you pick the kids up, and then we all work at night again. And that's
got to throw it open to you guys at home. Women don't want top jobs. Discuss. Amy?
Let's go straight to 21-year-old Jennifer on line 2.